Right, so I did go to BCS France over this last weekend, and it was really fun overall. The weekend was good. It was nice to see. I haven't been to a French event in like 4 years actually, so it was really nice to be back and just chill with the community again, because I haven't seen a lot of the French folks that I keep up contacts with for quite a while, because some of them don't travel as much. But yeah, so the weekend itself, in terms of just like seeing people and stuff like that, was good fun. I enjoyed it. The venue was really good. The Mouvaux venue was perfect. What else? Yeah, I mean, overall, like, yeah, the venue was good, the management was good. We finished Swiss rounds on both days at around 5 p.m., which is really nice. And then the tournament itself would finish around 7. So, timing-wise, it was really nice, and all that stuff was good, but I'm gonna talk about the decks I picked and my matchups. I need to pull up my Twitter, though, just because I wrote my matchups there. So I need to check. How many rounds? 8 rounds of Swiss on both days. On day 1, we had 189 or 187? Something like that. I tweeted it. I need to just find it. Yeah, we had, let's see, 187 total players for day 1, and I think 159 for premium for day 2. So yeah. Now, I'll quickly show you my deck for standard. For premium, there will be a deck profile coming up. Finally. That's the reason why I haven't done one, is because I've been keeping quiet about my list, because it's a list that has actually topped before, but I had the idea before it actually topped, and then I saw it top and I was like, damn it, someone else has the same idea. And then, so I'm gonna make a deck profile for that soon. I know I've been asked for this a million times, and I kept having to like just not respond, because I was like, it's my secret spice, but I don't want people to know that I'm playing DP, so there'll be an deck profile up like later this week. I just need to find time to sit down and do it. So yeah, I have a busy couple days coming up, so it might take a couple days to get out, but yeah. I was happy with the deck, but first I'll go over standard. So for standard, I was looking at this, the list that I've been playing on stream all the time. So 4 Great Dayushas, 2 Silbards, 4 Dieliners, 2 Dizauruses, 4 Dragons, 1 Miracle Dandy, 4 Platinum Aces, 4 Braves, 4 Quilts, 4 General Lasers, 8 Crit, 4 Draw, 4 Heal, and the starters. So this deck, like, in my testing, it was good. Against everything in the standard meta right now with VEB09 was good. And so I walked in there thinking, alright, I think I'm gonna be fine. Hyuga obviously isn't an easy matchup for anyone. That isn't, I mean, even for Hyuga it's not an easy matchup. It's not an easy matchup for anyone. And so I was kind of just banking that, you know, I can survive. It's like, against Hyuga, my conditions were always just like, do I go first or do I not? If not, then do I draw my Dieliner or do I not? And then if I don't, it's a really tough matchup, because you're just way too slow to make it back. Or like you have to play so conservatively that they just out aggro you, and you're kind of relying on just being on a force number. But the thing is, going second, you don't have that force number to help you out too much. So yeah, people expected me to play DP. I mean, you'd be surprised with what I'm taking to London. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I wanted to keep my specifics unknown, but with standard I was pretty happy letting this list be public, because I felt that it was the best list and I didn't mind people knowing about it. But let me go over my rounds, so, because I don't want this to get too long. So essentially, round 1, I go second. I remember, like, my opponent rolls a 6, I roll a 1, I was like, ah, great start. So they were playing Pale Moon, and essentially, I mean, I'll go back to stream chat. So basically, I started on Dizaurus, I couldn't draw my Dieliner, and then I still went to Force 2, I damage controlled him well, he did look here once, didn't really make a big difference to me. I just took an attack or 2, guarded a couple, and I was still fine, I was stabilizing. And then he was just stuck on 3 face down damage, I was just swinging with Force 2 and passing. And then, at one point, I actually got the Great Dayusha turn because he pushed me to 4 or 5, and then I did my kill turn, but he survived that. I think he finished up on like 5, so he didn't have much of a hand, but I mean, he just had to draw once, discard Counterblast 2 to fill up his board again. So he just does that, pushes me, I'm like, okay, fine, I survive again. Then, I had another Great Dayusha in hand, but I had no way to power it up to that point because I was on Force 2. So, I mean, you can see that as one of the drawbacks, but I had a Dieliner. So I was like, I'm gonna rewrite the Dieliner, I will have a third Force 2. So all my front rows are Force 2. He's on 4 damage. Unless, and like my numbers were crazy good too because I had Gen lasers like on the other sides that were cold previously. And so basically he had to have 3 PGs in hand. And he had a 6-card hand, but previously did drive check double draw at some point. And so I knew that there was a chance that he still had those 2 PGs in hand. And so I was like, okay, even if he has those 2 PGs, he'll have 2 cards left in hand after that, which will make it really hard for him to guard my last attack because all of them were huge. So I go, swing Vanguard, PGs. Swing Rearguard, PGs. Swing other Rearguard, 3rd PG, goes to 0 hand, and that was it. So yeah, I honestly played without any mistakes, I feel. That, specifically game 1, I really felt like I played well. I didn't draw a die liner, I had to just deal with it, but I felt like I dealt with it well, and that was just how it was. So game 1 was not good. Game 2, I'm sure you've all seen the picture on Twitter. I faced against Solemn, and he was playing Hyuga. He went first, and I didn't draw a die liner the whole game, and that was it. Like, that's just how it is. Like, you need to either draw a die liner or go first or both, and not getting either is just like, you might as well fold to Hyuga because they have so much tempo going first, so it just doesn't work out. They also have Shiroyuki to just destroy you, so yeah, it was pretty sad. Especially round 2. Like, I completely wouldn't have minded if that happened like last round of Swiss, but it was, yeah, it was pretty early. Then round 3 I played against Spikes. I remember I made a misplay in that game and then he let me take it back, which was really nice of him. And then, yeah, I think I actually won off Daisaurus checking me a heal. Like, off Daisaurus giving me a 3rd check and the 3rd check being a heal that let me survive his last attack, and then next turn I could just do Great Dayusha and win. Then, round 4, I beat Shadows. It was pretty... I think he couldn't draw in the main until like turn 4. And so by then I had built up so much, like just so much advantage that I just had good momentum. And then essentially after that I was 2-2. And then the last round I played against, I think, Tachikaze, and I just couldn't. He basically opened Exodia, and he had like the guy that gets plus 5k for every gauge under him, and then he can't be targeted by effects. Like, he had that from early on. He built it up to the point that I couldn't really like get rid of it anymore, and then he just kept steamrolling, and then he literally opened Exodia with Spikes. And I lost that game, and then I was 2-3, so I was like, well, there's no real point to keep going, so I actually dropped on day 1 at that point, because there were still 3 more rounds, and I was like, I'd rather just go chill with friends and test for premium, so that's what I did. Luckily, my teammate Amber-sama was actually 6-2 at the end with his Hyuga, and so was our driver, Michael Winley, so they were both like potentially bubbling into top 8, but sadly they didn't make it. And so top 8 was just 3 Murakumos, 2 Shadows, 1 Kagero, 1 Royals, 1 Spikes. And yeah, like, I was pretty happy with my deck regardless, because my losses essentially came down to, oh, I didn't go first. Oh, I didn't draw into my grade 3. Because it feels like a lot of decks in Standard right now is like, oh, do you go first? Oh, do you draw your key grade 3? I am changing up my pick for London. And I'm going to be kind of going between 2 decks. Potentially 3 to choose from, and it's not going to be DP. Like, I feel like I did everything I could with DP this tournament, and I was pretty happy that I still took it. I'm glad I gave it a shot. But then, so day 2, Premium, we start off, and everything was pretty good. I didn't use my buy cards in this tournament, by the way, so I kept my buy cards for London, the last BCS. So we had 158 players for BCS France Premium, so we had 8 rounds of Swiss. And so then, round 1, I faced off against... Okay, so I'm gonna make the deck profile soon, but basically, my spice was... It was a premium deep robo list, but with the added spice that it was Daikaiser Goisha combo. And how it basically works is... I mean, I can just get my deck and explain it. Essentially, you stay on grade 2 for a while, and while your opponent's kind of confused at what you're doing and doesn't really understand what's happening, and you rake up 4 damage... or even let your opponent first strike on you, it doesn't really matter sometimes. And then once you hit 4 damage, you ride into this sweet little dude, my baby, my child, and then you do Goyusha into this. And then, so you got +1 crit, +10k guard break from Daikaiser, +20k +1 crit from Dieliner, another +1 crit from the Force 2, because you'll always go for Force 2. And so now you're already swinging for 4 damage if it hits, with a 43. So then you just built up a massive soul, and he searched you some cards. Maybe he found you a Daisaurus. And so Daisaurus will give you extra drive checks that will help you check into those grade 3s to actually guard break. And on top of that, you run 4 copies of Laurel because he's actually your win con no matter what. Even if Daikaiser doesn't work out, he is your win con. Laurel is just nuts. And so you basically just have, if you go first, optimally, the combo is to go first, ride up Daikaiser if your opponent like was just not serious and crit you or something early and gave you 4 damage early, and just slap them with the Daikaiser with like 86 off the Dieliner, and then with like Daisauruses and stuff to help guard break, like all that kind of good stuff. I really was happy that I came up with this. Also, new Laurel, definitely for new Laurel. Old Laurel is garbage and useless in this format, but I'll have a deck profile of this up later. It is a fun deck, but so this combo that I talked about is just an option for the deck, really. In other games, the Daikaiser will just be stride fodders. They're not going to be doing that much. Or you can ride them if you want to go for the Leon stride. If you feel like if you push your opponent to 5 and you can give the Leon extra drive checks with the Daisaurus, and then you can go for like 5 drive checks and try to just destroy them even if they PG twice. But so basically, round 1 I play against Novas, and I was still half asleep because I am an ape, and essentially I was so tunnel visioned on doing the Daikaiser combo that like I did it, I minus myself a bunch, and he double PG'd. I check 1 grade 3, kill his PG, check 2, check 3, nothing. So then next turn, he doesn't actually kill me, he goes for a Bustard, but it's not enough. And then I swing back, I try to win with a Gallop, but it's not, he has another PG to stop it, and then I don't check any crits, I think, so I can't even finish him off there. And so yeah, that game just didn't go well, but in retrospect, I feel like going for Daikaiser was a misplay, and I should have just played regular DP, and essentially just, like, he literally gave me first stride. He rode up grade 3 first, I could have easily just gone Dieliner, stride, X Gallop, Laurel, double power, swing, 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 and just finished the game like that. And so I made a basically misplay by just choosing the wrong path in game 1, and that kind of woke me up because I was like, damn it, what am I doing? Because this deck is like much better. Like, I've been testing with this for a while, and like for months actually, and I was like, why am I misplaying? So then round 2 starts, and my opponent doesn't show up, so I was like, okay, cool enough. So I get myself a free win there. Then round 3, I play against Novas again. Now I'm at 1-1, and this was a really fun game, but I basically played it perfectly. I rode Laurel. He went first. My opponents went first basically every single time, so I basically didn't do the Daikaiser combo ever again. So then he rides an 8k, grade 1, I ride a 6k, I swing, I get a crit, so I was like, ah, damn it, but I put it all on the back because, like, with Novas, they can still do kick combos and hit me early, and it's like, if I'm going second, I realized, like, from playtesting I already knew, it's like, if they just stop giving me damage at 3, I have a really awkward turn, or I just have to, like, hope that they gave me the first stride. But because he was going first, I wouldn't be able to first stride anyway. So I just, like, attacked with my 6k Laurel, put the trigger on the back, and then just passed on his 0 damage. He rides a grade 2, swings, ends, and then I ride grade 2, swing, get him to 1, end. And then we kind of go back, like, then he rides up grade 3, swings, I think he also calls in the Luminal, and then swings, and then, you know, I go to like 2 or 3. But then I choose not to ride yet, because I want to keep denying damage, so I just swing at the rear guard, and then basically he's on 1 counterblasted damage that he counterblasted for his Azure Dragon, and then he strides into just like any random stride, I forgot even what it was, and he just like puts 2 of the new crits, it like, you know, attacks, puts them into Soul, just so he has Soul for Bustard next turn, draw some cards, and I was like, okay, he put me to 4, and then basically I X-Gallop him once with a Laurel. Essentially, just, I think it was like 5 drive checks and then 1 because of the Daisaurus, and then I put him to like 4 or something, and then the next turn, he goes for a Bustard, he doesn't get, I think he gets like +1 drive check, so he can't even do the restand, and then, but he heals down to 3, and then I G-guard against his Vanguard with Atlantis Dolphin, I counter-charge Soul Charge, I have 3 face-up damage, and I have a Dieliner in hand, so I'm like, next turn, Ultimate Stride, Stark, Laurel double Stark's power and give him an extra crit. And then I have a Stark that's hitting for 86 with 3 crit 3 times, and he's on 3 damage, so I'm like, 86, he PGs, 86. He's like, oh no, I don't have enough. And then he didn't heal, and that was it. So that was a really fun game. It really felt like the strength of this deck, like when your opponent gives you first stride, because you can do these kind of crazy things. Even with X Gallop, if like you can do Laurel and Force 2 and you're already swinging for just a 3 crit attack, if you can get it to 80k, it's gonna restand. If you can get an extra drive check with a Dizoris because they give you extra Counter Blast, you can just do a bunch of things, and it's really, really nice. Dizoris is just a great addition to the deck. Then round 4, I was pretty salty because I lost to Tachikaze. Actually the same Tachi guy from day 1 that I dropped after, but then, okay, just making sure that everything's fine. So then, round 4, I lose to Tachi's because he goes first, he does his stuff. He plays like a Gaia plus Anger Blader variant, so it's kind of interesting because, he used Gauge, but then the new Dogma was really threatening. At one point, I 3 to pass his Dogma, he checks nothing, so I was like, damn it. And then I PG the last one, but then he attacks me to the point that I have no cards in hand, and I need to top deck a Stride Fodder, and I still had plenty of grade 3s in deck, so it was like, the chances of it are pretty high. I draw, it's a Laurel, I was like, damn it, I don't have a field to build with this, and I'm on Die Liner. So then I just swing, first check, grade 3. So I was like, and then I asked him, I was like, if I could have strode into X Gallop, would I have won? Because I could have, I would have had enough power because I G-guarded last turn and stuff like that. And then, essentially, he was like, yeah, I didn't have enough, so he would have won with X Gallop. So I was like, so I was pretty tilted after that. But it was still fine because then, next round I played against Pale Moon, Silverthorns actually showed up. There were people that played more like standard plus Silverthorns because the Fighter Selection Stride is still really good. You can just go into Harry, call a bunch of stuff. It's pretty great. And then one of the topping lists actually was, well, he almost topped. Teo Mahuto ran a really interesting list of like, kind of like a Magia list, but it was with Alice and Dorian, who basically just sucks up your soul at the end of turn and draws you a bunch. So that was a really interesting list. I didn't play against that one. I played against more basic Silverthorns, and it was kind of just going back and forth. He was playing just kind of like standard Silverthorns until he strides, goes into the Fighter Selection Stride, and then I was like, oh, can I read it for a second? Because I wanted to check if her skill goes off when he attacks Vanguard or Rearguard, because I knew he was trying to keep me at low, to damage control me throughout the game. And so I was like, okay, thanks, I read the card. And then he swings at Rear, so I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And he's like, oh, skill. I'm like, but you can't. And the judge was watching that game at the time, and he was like, yeah, no, you can't take that back. Like, the judge was like, no. So then he just had to pass turn, and he couldn't do the Magia Stride because he just forgot it himself. And I was just checking if it has to attack Vanguard or if it can attack anything. So I won that game, just off of like X Gallop, Laurel, like that kind of stuff. Then round 6, I played against Jacob Linder, a pretty well-known Swedish player. He was playing Azel, and it was actually really close. And this was the game, like the reverse of the Tachikaze game, because he got Azel. He had like 3 Wonder Azels that game, I think. Like, it was pretty insane. But I still kind of stabilized. And then at the end, again, a guard with every single last card. Like, I had a drive check where it was like, no, in the Taichi game, I checked 5 cards with X Gallop. 4 of them were grade 3s, and I was like, thank God I'm on Die Liner. And I think against Azel I had a similar thing. I just checked a bunch of grade 3s, and I was like, thank God I'm on Die Liner. So Die Liner saved me so much, like, so much. And then basically, so he chipped me down to 0 cards in hand, but then, like, we were kind of jokingly playing the game, we weren't too serious. So I was like, oh, if I top deck Strike Fighter, I win. And I take it and I put it in my drop zone immediately, like, as a meme. And I'm like, oh my god, it's a grade 3. I was like, wait a second, let me think about this. And I was like, whoa, like, I was like, wait, I could actually do something here. So I was like, okay, Stride. And I was half debating because I had a full field and a bunch of Counter Blast. No, I had 2 Counter Blast because I could do Laurel and Gallop, I think. And I was actually then considering... No, I had 1 Counter Blast actually. Yeah, I had 1 Counter Blast, and I was half debating going to Dimax DX because I could, like, he already called a bunch of PGs, like, just, like, he PG'd earlier, and then he had to call some with, like, his Platina Azel Spearex, and so then I was like, I could actually go for the Dimax DX and just put crit on everything and swing, But then I was like, no, actually the safer pick is to go for the Excalibur. So I go for the Excalibur. I have a bunch of face-up G units because I G-guarded and already strode last turn. And then basically I win off of that because, like, it's what would have happened in the Tachi game had I top decked a Strife Fighter. So I basically lost one game because I couldn't top deck Strife Fighter, and I won one game because I top decked Strife Fighter. So that was pretty wild. And then round 7, so I was still X2 here, I was like 4-2. Round 7 I played against Grand Blue. It was pretty tight because he had, he did like G-Guard into P, like when I did Excalibur, he was like G-Guard into PG, Excalibur restand, G-Guard into PG, and I was like, damn boy, like he really stabilized, but then he was starting to get close to deck out, and then essentially, at one point, again, I think I was considering like Dimax DX or the Excalibur because all his PGs were gone, or like I thought so, and then he told me that he still had one left in deck that I hadn't seen yet, which was a draw PG, so he ran 3 of the grade 1 and 1 of the draw. And it was pretty interesting, honestly, because essentially the last one, he had one more way to... I think my first Excalibur attack, he basically guarded from hand to 2 to pass because he drew so many cards. And I think I actually just checked the 2 triggers that I needed because I had plenty of triggers left in deck still, and one off of that, but he said like he couldn't really guard the last attack, so he was just like banking on me not checking a crit on for the restand attack. So it was pretty interesting, and I really like, I was still X2, so I was like, damn, if I can finish X2 for the day, that'd be really cool. And then final round I sit down, and it's a guy I know, Nick No, was playing Plants, and he did something pretty spicy that I'll keep secret for, I mean, his sake, because I'm pretty sure he wants that to be quiet. But so we play against Plants, and it was pretty interesting because he goes for Katrina, searches 3 Lilgas, and just bounces them back to hand before I was about to, I was like, oh, next turn I can Stark him, Stark Laurel, let's go. And then he goes 3 Lilgas, like, ah, damn it. So then I was like, crap, I can't do Stark because he has 3 PGs in hand. I can't do Excalibur because he has 3 PGs in hand. I was like, what do I do? And then I top deck my 2 of Tech for this very reason. Sec, if I can find it, I'm going through my deck. My 2 of Tech, the god card that absolutely loves this kind of scenario, Glory Maker, which says you could only guard with grade 0s from hand. So I was like, I draw for turn, I'm like, oh, this is it. I was like, this is the card. But he was still on 3, so that was the problem. I was on a crit, Force 2 Excalibur, and I had 3 open counterblast, so I needed 1 for Excalibur. I couldn't Laurel because I had exactly 4 units, including this. So I needed 1 more card in hand to do Laurel and then like be able to call this behind Vanguard. And the thing is, this would only work for 1 attack because it's only when it boosts. So I was basically banking on checking a crit out of my 4 remaining drive checks of that turn, because I basically went, okay, Excalibur, Glory Maker, and when I used it, he was like, oh shit, so he just like drops his PGs to the side, he's like, well, I can't guard this anymore. And then, essentially, like, I checked 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's no crit, so I didn't close it out, so he just takes 2 damage, passes, and then Katrina. So yeah, it was super close. Like, my losses felt like, apart from round 1, which is just pure misplaying and just like not being awake enough, my losses felt pretty okay. So I was really happy with the deck, actually. Like, I'm really happy with how it performed overall. I had a really fun day with it. Like, seeing people surprise when I played this, it was really, really fun. So I'll have a deck profile up pretty soon talking about it. But for those of you that want to know matchups, this was this video. So yeah, this is like 25 minutes already, so I'm gonna close it out pretty soon. But yeah, so this was my kind of wrap up of regionals in France, BCS France. I will be going to London in 3 weeks, so I will be playing different decks there. I won't say just what yet, but you guys will see, you know, in due time. Actually, for standard, I'll probably be pretty open about it, but for premium, I'll keep that pretty close. Was Goyusha my starter? Yes, yes it was. It was, because you can just do the Daikaiser combo thanks to it, so like you don't have a way to search it, so you need to actually play it as a starter. So yeah. But yeah, so that's my wrap up for BCS France. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. And then all the stuff about, you know, my deck profile will be up in a few days, so look forward to that. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.